Welcome back, it's me, Lou. For today's video, we are going to focus on custom action figures. Alright, so recently I purchased this figure on the right. This is the Bendy Figs Robin. I love this design. It's based off of, I want to say, the new 52 or rebirth version of the Damian Wayne Robin character. I like this costume a lot. I think it's awesome. It kind of has like some elements of like the Timothy Drake costume from like way back in the early 90s, and it has, it's a little bit more updated for Damian, Damian being a much younger character. And this figure looks great. I said this in my video review. I think it'd be awesome if they gave us a figure that looked like this in McFarlane line. Now, McFarlane did produce a Damian Robin action figure, and it does kind of like closely resemble this costume, if not exactly. But that figure, as great as it is, it's a little bit more cartoony in its proportions. He has a larger head with the big eyes, and it's very stylized. It's great as a figure as it is. It stands alone well. But the minute you try pairing it up with one of the other Batman figures in the McFarlane line, there's kind of a disconnect because it's a little bit on the more cartoon and comic book end. It's a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more exaggerated with the features. So I kind of wish that with McFarlane they gave us that Robin costume that we saw with the Damian, but this scale it and proportion it so it's a little bit more realistic. So it's, it pairs up well with like, a Batman figure. Which brings us to this. This figure was released recently, maybe like a month or two ago. This is the Gotham Knights Robin. This is Robin as he appears in the upcoming video game. The game hasn't come out yet, and I haven't done all my homework on it yet, but I believe that in the video game this is Robin as portrayed by Timothy Drake. I don't think it's Damian. And this is a great figure. I loved it when I reviewed it. I was kind of lukewarm to the costume design until I got to actually handle the figure. It's a much different take on Robin. It's a slightly more modern, sporty look. And it's cool, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of very nostalgic for like old school Robin, and I just wanted something with a little bit more old school sensibilities. Like, this looks cool, but there's just things about this that I would change aesthetically. And that's where kind of my custom comes in. So as great as I think this figure is, I love this design a lot. And even though McFarlane already gave us a figure that closely resembles this, I just wanted something that kind of borderline more on the realistic end, much like this guy. So that brings us to my custom Robin action figure. And here he is. So this is my custom Robin action figure. I used this guy here as the base, and I kind of used this costume here as the inspiration. So one thing you'll notice with both of these Robins is that his shirt, it's almost like, I think, it's kind of like, I want to say, it almost kind of like resembles like a lab coat. It goes down really far, way past his waist, same with this one. And I like that look, but like OG Robin, like from way back in the day, his shirt kind of just probably cut off a little bit below the waistline, maybe like 2 or 3 inches below the waistline. It didn't go like mid-thigh like this. So that's something I kind of wanted to do, so I went ahead and then I cut off a good portion of this lower end of his shirt, like that. And another thing that Robin, I kind of feel Robin always needs this. He always needs this. Utility belt. He's Batman's protege. He's trained in the ways of Batman. He needs his Bat utility belt. This is something that's kind of bothered me about this design of Robin from Gotham Knights, is that he doesn't have the utility belt. So for me, it was important to have the utility belt and try to recreate like the old school Robin look. So I went in and I had a spare utility belt. This is from the Mattel Movie Masters Dark Knight figure. the Christian Bale one. And then I took that utility belt and then I placed it over his shirt, so it's kind of like a callback to the old OG Robin. So I did that. This Robin here, he has these drawstrings on his hood. I don't feel they're necessary. In all honesty, who has a hoodie who actually uses the drawstrings? So I just cut the drawstrings off. I felt they kind of got in the way, and they always covered up the logo. So I cut off his drawstrings, took those off. This Robin here, he has clasps that run straight down his shirt. This guy, so after I cut off the drawstrings, it left a lot of bare space on his chest. So taking inspiration from this figure here, I added clasps along his chest right there. I added 1, 2, 3, 4. So it kind of filled out that empty gap. And then the most important thing, so this Gotham Knights Robin, it's odd that they did this. I don't really understand it. So they didn't give him a yellow cape. They didn't give him a black cape. They didn't give him a green cape. They just gave him a red cape. And it's the cape, for me, aesthetically, it makes no sense. It's not that much longer than his like coat he's wearing. So it almost seems pointless. It's something. Sometimes Batman uses his capes, like if you play the games, he uses the cape as like a weapon, sometimes as a shield. In other comic books, he'll use the cape as a form of like gliding. This cape here, it's short. I can't see it serving any purpose. And most of the time, most of the characters in the Bat family who have a short cape, it's generally Batgirl. So it felt kind of odd that he has this very short cape that's just a little bit longer than his coat. And then the color of it is red. That doesn't make any sense to me. Damian here, he kind of carries over the Timothy Drake Robin cape with the black on the exterior and then the yellow on the interior. And there's been other iterations of Robin where he has a completely black cape. So I went into my parts bin and I found a spare cape I had. Again, this was taken from a Mattel Movie Masters Dark Knight figure, the Christian Bale one. So I took that cape, I ripped off this right here, and then I glued on the Movie Masters black cape. So it's Robin with a cape. And as you can see, here are some of the differences. And another big difference or change I made was the eyes. And if you're a McFarlane toy fan, one thing that's annoyed like practically everyone over the last year is that almost every figure has that weird side eye look. So the eyes aren't painted so they're looking directly at you. They're always painted so they're either looking out out of the left corner or the right corner. It's very weird. I don't understand why they made that design decision. So for me, I'm just gonna white out the eyes completely, just so I could get this look right here. So I went in, this colored out the eyes completely white, and actually made the eyes a little bit bigger too. I kind of feel like, the larger the eyes, it conveys like a greater sense of youthfulness and enthusiasm. So made the eyes a little bit larger and just completely white. One thing I didn't notice until now is that this figure has a green mask, and I think that actually looks really, really cool. And I didn't think of it earlier, but part of me is kind of thinking now maybe I should go back and paint his mask green also, because I think that'd be a cool look. Green's a much more youthful color than black. And also with black, I think this head, with the black mask, it kind of reminds me of Nightwing more than Robin. So I don't know, we'll see if I make that change in the future. But for now, yeah, here's the comparison. We have the original figure here on the left, and then my figure on the right. Like I said, this design here was heavily inspired by this. And even though McFarlane gave us, this costume already, the figure they did give us was a little bit more on the comic book and cartoony side. And I wanted something a little bit more realistic in proportions and in presentation. So, I really just wanted to create something that'd flow well with like my other Batman McFarlane figures, especially the ones that look a little bit more on the realistic end. Like, I think this would pair really well with the McFarlane Arkham Knight figure. All right, so let's do one last pass of this guy before we close this video out. All right, so we have an up-close shot of Robin with the whited out eyes and slightly larger eyes. The drawstrings were removed. I gave him some uniform clasps on his chest. He has the Dark Knight utility belt. He has the shortened shirt, so it doesn't extend to the mid-knee. It's a little bit higher. And most importantly, he has a cape. I kind of feel Robin always needs a cape. Yeah, so this is my custom McFarlane Robin. Now, for me, in my head, this could still be Timothy Drake. I know that since the New 52, Timothy Drake's kind of adopted that name Red Robin. But for me, it's stupid. I'm not a big fan of it. This could also pass if I wanted to as maybe an older Damian figure. This could easily be teenage Damian. But yeah, here's my Robin. Here's a profile, view of the back. If I could, and if I knew the right paint to use, I would love to paint the inside of the cape yellow. But yellow is one of those paints that's hard to work with. And on top of that, this is kind of that softer rubbery plastic that if you don't use the right kind of paint, or if you don't prepare it correctly, it becomes very tacky and almost like feels like it's melting. So that's my biggest regret, if that I didn't paint the interior of this yellow. In the future I might, if I could, figure out how to do that process correctly. But for now, this is as close as I'll get to like a much more realistic version of Robin in this costume until McFarlane gives us an updated one. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber viewer, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I will see you at the next one. Alright, later.